October 2012. Progreso, Coahuila. A Mexican Navy patrol pulls up on a civilian report of gunmen near a baseball game, and the street explodes. A white van trades fire with Marines. Minutes later, 2 men are dead. At first, it looks like another routine hit on cartel muscle, until forensic checks identify one of the bodies as Heriberto Lazcano. Lazca, the Zetas boss. The bodies are rushed to a funeral home in Sabinas. Then, before the government can even make it official, masked commandos kick in the door, overpower the staff, and steal the corpses, forcing the funeral home owner to drive the hearse away. A kingpin is dead, and the proof vanishes with him. To understand why Lazca's missing body shook Mexico, you have to understand who he was to Los Zetas. Heriberto Lazcano was born in Apan, Hidalgo, and joined the Mexican army as a teenager. He rose into GAIF, an elite special forces unit, then deserted in 1998 and crossed over to organized crime. According to later reporting and profiles, Lazcano was among the ex-soldiers recruited to work as enforcers for Gulf cartel boss Osiel Cardenas Guillen, an armed crew that became Los Zetas. Inside the Zetas hierarchy, Lazcano was known as Z3, and after earlier leaders were killed or captured, he emerged as the cartel's top commander. Under his tenure, Zetas grew beyond being just hired muscle, running trafficking corridors while also leaning hard into extortion, kidnappings, and intimidation to control territory. By 2010, Los Zetas had broken with the Gulf cartel and operated as their own organization, more militarized, more public-facing, and infamous for violence designed to send messages. So when whispers spread in October 2012 that Lazca had been killed, it wasn't just another boss going down. For the Zetas brand, he was a founding era symbol, part commander, part myth, and the government needed one thing to shut the myth down: the body. The wild part is, the Navy didn't roll into Progreso hunting Lazca. On Sunday, October 7th, 2012, Marines responded to a civilian tip about armed men near a baseball field in Progreso, Coahuila. Officials later said the gunman in a white van opened fire, triggering a shootout. When it ended, Lazcano and another man were dead. Local authorities said the second man was Mario Alberto Rodriguez, but in those first hours, the scene looked like dozens of other cartel encounters. Bodies collected, weapons logged, paperwork started. Reuters and other outlets reported that it appeared the military didn't realize one of the dead was Lazcano, at least not immediately. That delay matters, because of what happened next. The bodies were taken to a funeral home in Sabinas, Coahuila. Sometime before dawn, a convoy of heavily armed, masked men stormed the building, subdued the staff, loaded the bodies into a hearse, and forced the funeral home owner to drive it away. That detail wasn't rumor. It was stated publicly by Coahuila's prosecutor, Heriberto Ramos, and suddenly, Mexico had a blockbuster headline with a missing ending. Did they really kill Lazca, or did the Zetas just steal the evidence? Within days, officials insisted the identification was real. Fingerprints matched, the Navy said, but the body being gone turned confirmation into a debate, and debate into oxygen. Even President Felipe Calderón referenced available evidence, while reporting noted Lazcano had been mistakenly reported dead before, years earlier, so the country had a reason to be skeptical. That's the turning point of this story. Not just a kingpin getting dropped in a gunfight, but the moment a cartel shows it can reach past the bullets, past the morgue, and rewrite the ending in real time. The raid wasn't just cartel theatrics. Stealing the body had clear strategic value. For the Mexican government, a corpse isn't morbid symbolism. It's closure and proof. A confirmed death lets the state declare victory, update wanted lists, and undercut the whispers that a boss is still alive. But when Lazcano's body was ripped out of that funeral home, it created doubt around the government's account and made public confirmation harder. And it was fear. The message wasn't subtle. We can reach you anywhere. Not in a safe house, not in a convoy, in a funeral home where civilians work. And cameras don't always roll. Coahuila prosecutor Heriberto Ramos publicly described masked gunmen overpowering staff and forcing the funeral home owner to drive the getaway hearse. So how did authorities try to lock down the truth? After the evidence disappeared, they leaned on what they had before the snatch. Officials said they took fingerprints and photographs to verify identity prior to the raid, but the damage was done. Without a body to display, bury, or test again, every statement had an asterisk, and cartels live in the asterisk. Then came the next problem, the vacuum. With Lazcano gone, reporting and later profiles pointed to Miguel Ángel Treviño Morales, Z40, as the man positioned to take over at the top. an internal shift that had already been rumored even before October 2012, and the difference mattered. Where Lazcano carried the founding-era mystique of an ex-elite soldier, Z40's reputation was more openly brutal and more reckless in many reports, exactly the kind of leadership that could consolidate a cartel through terror or deepen internal instability. For years, Los Zetas understood something the public learns the hard way. Power isn't just what you can do, it's what people believe you can do. On October 7, 2012, authorities said they killed Heriberto Lazcano in Progreso, Coahuila, after a shootout sparked by a report of gunmen near a baseball field. Officials also said they verified him through fingerprints and photographs, but before they could turn that proof into a clean, undeniable ending, masked gunmen stormed the funeral home in Sabinas and stole the bodies, forcing the owner to drive the hearse away. And that's the twist that outlives the gunfight, because once the body disappears, the story stops being purely forensic and becomes a contest over public belief. The government says confirmed, but the missing body left room for doubt, skepticism, and rumor. The Zetas did reorganize. Reporting and later profiles consistently point to Miguel Angel Trevino Morales, Z40, as the man who moved into leadership after Lazcano's death. As the organization continued evolving under pressure, so what did the theft really accomplish? It didn't bring El Lazca back. It did something more useful. It made his death harder to close, harder to forget, and easier to weaponize. Because in cartel history, endings are dangerous, and when the body disappears,